Israel has announced it's increasing air and ground operations in Gaza. In just the last few hours, Israel has launched continuous airstrikes on Hamas tunnels and infrastructure. It is the most intensive period of bombardment since the war began 3 weeks ago. Internet and mobile phone services in the besieged territory have been cut and residents have been told to move south to safety. The Red Crescent says it's lost all contact with its emergency room inside the enclave.
In addition to the attacks that we carried out in recent days, ground forces are expanding their activity this evening. The IDF is acting with great force on all levels to achieve the objectives of the war.
Meanwhile, the United Nations General Assembly has overwhelmingly called for an immediate humanitarian truce between Israel and Hamas. The non-binding resolution was drafted by Arab states and demands aid access to Gaza and protection of civilians. It passed 120 votes to 14 with 45 abstentions. Australia also abstained. A Canadian amendment to unequivocally condemn the October 7 attacks by Hamas and demand the release of hostages was not supported.
Our Global Affairs editor John Lyons has the latest from southern Israel.
The war between Israel and Hamas is intensifying, with the Israeli army saying that it's expanding its ground activities inside Gaza. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the beginning of the ground offensive, but it does suggest that they're certainly preparing the ground literally for a bigger offensive. Meanwhile, through the day, there's been a lot of attacks, a lot of bombing of the Gaza Strip. There's been fighter jets flying across much of the day, and you can hear the ferocious sound of those bombs dropping on Gaza. The war is expanding outside Israel and Hamas now, with the US hitting various locations in Syria and Iraq. They're targeting what they say are Iranian Revolutionary Guard positions, who they say are responsible for hitting or aiming at United States soldiers who are stationed in those parts. So America is rushing air defence and other protections to their troops in Syria and Iraq in anticipation that the Revolutionary Guard of Iran will escalate their attacks as the war between Israel and Gaza continues to build. Finally, Israel is not ruling out an airstrike on the major hospital in Gaza, the Shifa hospital. They're claiming that Hamas is using the basement of that as a command and control centre for the war. We're not able to verify that claim because we're not in Gaza, we're in southern Israel. But the doctors there are saying that the targeting of a hospital is a war crime, full stop. Israel would argue that they have warned people to go to the south of the Gaza Strip, to leave the north and the centre, where Gaza City and that hospital is, but people in the hospital and doctors say, we simply can't move all these patients. There are thousands of people in that hospital. Many are patients and many are sheltering there to try to get away from the Israeli airstrikes. Any attack on that hospital would have, in humanitarian terms, catastrophic consequences.